Today we're going to be talking about simple random sampling versus stratified random sampling. So we've already defined this in class. Recall that in a simple random sample, every individual in the population has an equal chance to be selected, and every sample size of n is equally possible. So let's talk about this in the context of marbles. Let's say we have 4 colored marbles: light blue, dark blue, pink, and purple. What this means is that every marble has an equal chance of being selected, right? This is an idea we understand pretty well, but also we have the same likelihood of getting 1 marble of each color as we do of getting 2 pink and 2 light blue, as we do of getting 3 dark blue and 1 purple. So let's look at this. So here's our friend, and he is drawing marbles out of a hat. He could get this as a sample, 1 of each color, or he could get 2 dark blues, a pink and a purple, or you could get 2 light blues and a pink and a purple, right? This difference between these samples is called sampling variability, right? And that naturally occurs just by chance, where we get different combinations each time we take our sample. So these are decently representative of the population, right? They either get at 3 out of the 4 colors or all 4 of the color marbles that were possible. However, in a simple random sample, our friend could also draw out 4 marbles of the same color. He could also pull out 4 purple marbles, right? Because every sample size, when we talked back in our definition here, every sample size of size n is equally possible. So getting 4 marbles of the same color is just as likely as getting any other combination of color marbles. Right? So the problem with this is that this sample is not representative of the population. Right? So one problem with simple random sampling is that while it is often representative of the population, it is not always representative of the population. So how can we fix this? We can fix this by taking a stratified random sample. So what a stratified random sample does is it takes the population, right, all of the marbles, and it divides them up into strata by some shared characteristic, in this case color, and then we take an SRS of each strata to form our sample. So what this does is that this ensures that every group of individuals in the population is represented, right? If I'm looking for a sample size of 4, I can take an SRS of 1 from each strata, right? The boxes around each dot show that they were selected for the sample, and this ensures that I have representation from each of the 4 colored marbles in my sample. So we've talked about this now very abstractly. So we've talked about stratification very abstractly now. We've talked about it with marbles, but let's talk about it in the context of a sample survey. So we can also use a stratified random sample when we think that there's going to be a difference of opinion often in our groups based on what we call the stratification variable. So let's take an example to help understand this. So let's say we want to take a survey on the opinions of Americans about abortion. So when I think about this, I'm going to ask myself, what factors could possibly influence a person's opinion on abortion? There's a lot of different answers to this question. Right? There's not one right way or wrong way to do this so long as you can justify it, right? But when I think about this, the most obvious factor that sticks out to me is your gender. So the variable that I'm going to stratify by, my stratification variable, is going to be gender, meaning I'm going to take my population and I'm going to break it out into men and women, and then I am going to take an SRS of men and an SRS of women to put into my sample to take the survey, right? Why did I select this as my stratification variable? Because I believe that a person's opinion on abortion may differ depending on their gender. I think possibly that women are more likely to think abortion is okay and men are not, and so I am going to split up my groups according to men and women. So why is this better than an SRS? Why is a stratified sample better than an SRS? Because this stratified random sample ensures that we get the opinions of both men and women in our sample, whereas if we were just doing an SRS, we could end up with just men or just women in our sample. So now you're going to try this with 2 examples. I want you to pause this video and answer these questions. When you push play, you'll get the answers to the 3 questions here. Now try another one. Make sure you're correcting your answers on these. We will pick up reviewing these in class tomorrow.